Any shout outs? Not really. Keep watching the WNBA. Make sure you guys keep growing the sport and supporting all of these people. Um, you know, do some research, see some of the hoopers that are have been playing in the league for years and are still playing at a high level. And yeah, just keep watching women's sports. And
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Winning Strategy, where we'll be highlighting and talking about people's journeys through sports and entertainment. I'm your host, Kiera Baker, a senior broadcast journalism major here at Penn State. I'm a former athlete, and I'm just a girl who loves everything sports. I'm representing Are They Hooping, a basketball Black-owned app, the number one pickup basketball app where you can see who's hooping, where to play, and you can see people's highlights. And I'm very excited to introduce today's guest. He is a professional photographer that has captured so many professional sports like leagues like the WNBA, the NBA, the MLB, and he's a videographer, he's an editor, a podcaster, and a Penn State alumni, Samuel Brungo. How are you doing today, Samuel?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on your show.
Of course, of course. I'm very excited to have you. And we're just going to talk about everything, your journey, how you got to photography, your journey going to Penn State, the things that you're doing now, and everything within your journey. So I'm very excited to talk to you and let's get started.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so before every interview, I'll do a trivia game and it's called Hidden Gems. So I'll just explain you the directions and then we can get started before the interview. So
Okay.
Hidden Gems is a game, a trivia game. So I'll give you a personal trivia question based off your life, whether it's about sports or music. And today it's about sports since you're a sports photographer. And if you get the first trivia question right, we'll move on. But if you get it wrong, then I'll give you another trivia question and it'll just be another random sports trivia question. So are you ready?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So this one's about you. So we're going to see if you can get it right and if you know.
Oh
So
boy.
the question is, what people did you not have as a guest on your Podward State episode at Penn State? A, Miller McCormick. B, football coach James Franklin. C, Anna Camden, or D, former basketball coach Patrick Chambers?
I'm gonna go with James Franklin. I think that would have been one I would definitely remember. But the other guests were awesome. Loved all three of those other people that we chatted with. But yeah, no James Franklin. We did try. We
hmm
reached out, but
Yeah. Yeah, he's a tough
crickets.
one to get to.
Yeah, right,
He
definitely.
really is.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, you're correct. You're correct.
Awesome.
Yes, you did interview Anna Camden. I actually watched that podcast episode. It was great. You interviewed Miller McCormick and you actually interviewed former coach Patrick Chambers. So good job. So now we can move on and I'll start off with the questions. So first, I just want to talk about your time at Penn State. You are an alumni, and I currently go to Penn State, so woo woo. That's an exciting thing. So I just want to talk about what made you choose the university and what things about the university did you like?
Yeah, definitely awesome. Definitely love to chat with another Penn Stater. So I actually grew up in Boalsburg, Pennsylvania. So went to State College High. A lot of people call us townies, but so I grew up there. Grew up going to football games with my dad, my brother and sister, and we had babysitters that were Penn State students, and my cousin played for the Lady Lions when I was just a little kid. So from that time on, it was just, Penn State or nothing. As I got a little bit older, I got into sports and there were, I had interest in seeing other places and went on some visits to other schools. And it kind of was always just, the campus isn't as nice as Penn State. Oh, the town isn't as nice as State College. There was always yeah, it's nice, but so um, ended up going to Penn State, which I think was always the best best route for me, and wouldn't have had it any other way.
That's amazing. And you know, Penn State, it's a college town. It's nothing really around Penn State. So when you go here, that's really all you know. So what did you major in at Penn State?
I majored in communications, film and video, so uh, um, focusing on documentary style, um, cinematography and editing, and went through that communications and got my degree in film and video.
That's great. That's great. And what opportunities were provided for you at Penn State? And do you think that it helped you and propelled you for after graduation?
Yeah, definitely. A big one for me was Onward State. Got the experience to shoot not only live sporting events at the Division 1 level, but concerts and speakers and events, and that was really awesome. That was kind of the start of everything for me to build my portfolio up until that point. My senior year, I worked for Penn State Athletics, working with um, specifically with Penn State women's lacrosse. So I think that also was, something that just, you know, really up and to the right for me, gave me a lot of confidence to, move on to the next level. And yeah, that was definitely an opportunity that I got that I'm forever grateful to Missy Doherty and the Penn State women's lacrosse team. Really, um, that was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you have memories that you'll probably never forget while working on with Penn State athletics. I know that's great exposure. You probably got a
Definitely.
lot of reps, you know, with photography. So that was great. I love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And which sports did you do for photography at Penn State besides lacrosse?
So women's lacrosse was the only sport that I worked with for athletics, but um, shot through Onward State. Almost every sport I shot: football, basketball, soccer, hockey, field hockey, um, others that I know that I'm forgetting about, but football was the big one that I did for Onward State. That is kind of um, you have to be chosen because you only get two credentials. So that was something that I was excited to represent Onward State for my senior season for football, and uh, again, something I'll never take for granted. Traveling on the road to those games with the rest of our beat, memories I'll never get back.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're on the topic of Onward State, I know that you were able to do podcasts with them as well, called Podcast State. And I just want to ask you, what made you want to join and start podcasting, which is a totally different avenue from photography?
Yeah, definitely. So when I joined Onward State, like I said, I was from State College, so I had my group of friends already that I from high school. I was living with them, and I was hanging out with them and playing soccer with them, and like we just were together. And I felt like, as much as I love them, and they're still my best friends today, like I felt like I was missing out on part of the college experience where you like are forced to go out and make friends, something I'd never really had to do in my
Yeah.
life to that point. So I was encouraged as a sophomore to go out and join some clubs. I joined two clubs. One of them was Onward State. Started out like not very involved, was kind of just picking up like basically like sporting games to go shoot, like if they were offered. And then at some point, I forget what the topic was, but the seniors, two seniors on staff, had started this podcast, and it was like kind of before podcasting was, what it is now.
Hmm.
I think COVID really took podcasting to a new level because
For
everyone was just
sure.
home doing it themselves. So they invited me on to talk about something. I don't even remember what it was, but we went to the studio, and this is back when the studio wasn't at the
New
Willard
Willard?
building.
New Willard.
Yeah, it was at Innovation Park. So it
Oh,
was, I don't
wow.
know, do you know where that is? So it's like up at by the Penn Stater. So we got like an Uber over there or something, and whatever. It was just really fun, and um, basically they asked me to start, contributing more to the podcast, and then COVID happened later that year, um, and we I kind of took it and ran with it, like wanted to keep it going, like, and do it via Zoom. So really that helped us too to propel that. And then we kept doing it on Zoom for another year. Those guys kind of aged out, they graduated, and I brought in, kind of took it under my wing and brought in a new
Yeah.
group. Um, and yeah, it was awesome. I was took on kind of the main voice on the show and also off the show. And then as
Mhm.
I became like a senior in my last semester, was able to kind of like transition that to the younger people, which was really special. And I think we did 60, 65, 68 episodes, something like
Wow,
that during
that's
my time
amazing.
there. And lots of cool guests like you mentioned earlier, and they're still going today. Podward State, and they're still doing a great job. And um, I listen to every episode. It makes me feel like a proud dad. So but anyways, long answer to your question, but yeah, that was like my baby at Penn State. So
Yeah, and
fun
I
to see
love
it
that. I
keep
love
going.
that now that you've graduated and you've moved on, to see that it's still going, to see that you left your mark and you've, passed the torch. So I love that.
For sure.
Now I kind of want to shift over to your upbringing a little bit, just talk about how you
Sure.
got into photography. So growing up, did you always have a passion for it? Or is it something that you figured out later on that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say I had a passion for it early on for photography specifically. I would say that I had a passion for sports and art. Growing up, I was very artistic. I think maybe you could say I had an interest in photography, like just as a form of art. But as I grew up, kind of continued those interests. And then my junior year of high school, I broke my collarbone, so I wasn't able to
Oh,
play
wow.
soccer that season. But I still wanted to be part of the team, so I took my dad's camera and just like started taking pictures of the players so that they could like my teammates so they could like post it on their Instagram or whatever. And they were bad. Like the pictures were bad. I didn't know really the settings and stuff, but um I would say that was like the real start of it for me. And um, I am a sort of a sentimental guy. So as I was a senior and my friends started to move away, I started to take like little videos to just to like remember things, and then would
Yeah,
put them each month together as like a little montage. And those were bad too, but like was something that I think kind of kickstarted my interest in film. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say I necessarily had a passion for it growing up, but um, that passion for art and sports kind of culminated into sports photography.
I love that. I love that. And it's something that you have to find, as you got older, like you said, with your love for art and passion, and, through those experiences with your friends, eventually found out that photography and film was something that you wanted to do. So, as far as photography, are there any people whose work that you admire or people's work that you looked up to either then or now?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, definitely. I would say more so now than then. I mean, there were some people at Penn State that I looked up to, and then obviously like people on Instagram that I don't know that I just like admire their work and take things from the way they edit or the way they shoot or um, stuff like that. But now I would say someone that um, I look up to and is one of my peers actually. His name is Michael Gonzalez. He shoots. He's an NBA photographer, shoots for the league, specifically with the San Antonio Spurs, and He's been with the Phoenix Suns, the Phoenix Mercury. He works with us at the Dallas Wings now in the WNBA. And, it gets thrown around a lot, like the word pro, like um if a player like trains correctly and plays the right way and treats people the right way, people refer to them as a pro. And Michael Gonzalez is just a pro and has kind of taught me how to, handle myself, carry myself on the court. And just because, watching him and the way that he carries himself, he never like pushes his stuff onto me. And above that, he's a fantastic photographer. He had one of the NBA's top photos last year of LeBron
Wow.
James, and he's amazing. And it's hard for me to explain that to him, but he's had a big impact on me in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and that's great. It's always good to have role models and people that you look up to, even if it's just their work, admiring their work. So you could, not do it exactly like them, but, use their tactics and their skills to, help better improve your work.
Yeah,
So as far
definitely.
as your timeline, I know that you recently graduated from Penn State, not even 5 years ago, and you've had great success already straight out of graduation. So when you were a Penn Stater, could you see yourself now, and would you have imagined having this much success straight out of college?
Appreciate you saying that. I don't know if I could have imagined this. I mean, a lot of people in kind of this field, I feel like it takes a little bit longer to get like into the professional level. Um, and nothing against that route. I mean, I very likely would have been on that route too if this offer didn't come about. But yeah, I'm lucky in the way that the right opportunity and my hard work came together at the same time, um, and that opportunity presented itself to me at the right time. But yeah, it, I've been blessed to have this role at this point in my life, and I couldn't have asked for a better um, role. I mean, less than a year out of college, got this job, and you know, graduated in 2022, and here I am. And yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
almost overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was just thrown into it, and it's been great, and couldn't have asked for a better job with better opportunities.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I want to talk about the perfect picture. You are a photographer and your work is amazing. I've seen all of your work on Instagram, your website, and I just want to know your thought process when taking a picture. How do you get that perfect picture and what goes through your mind when you're capturing a shot?
So I haven't taken the perfect picture yet, and I don't know if I ever will. That's just I'm always looking for ways to improve, and I'm critical of my work. But there are pictures that I take that I'm just like, oh, I do like that, and a lot of times it's not the conventional picture that you know I'm going for, or the picture that's cookie cutter for our social media page or something. It's more of an artistic look. A lot of times, um, for me, that's something if a player walks past and then there is like a blur in the foreground, shooting hockey. A lot of times it's reflection from the ice or from um, the boards. Um, Basketball too, the reflection from the floor. It's play on the lights. It's a play on the angle that you're at. A lot of times in sports, it's hard to control what it is just because of the player themselves. Um, Especially in my league, the WNBA is, these players have such a um, like they're on Instagram and they're models and they have endorsement deals and stuff, and they don't want pictures that are not flattering of them, which I
Yeah.
understand. But like when I'm shooting Penn State football, it's like if their mouth is open and there's spit coming out of their mouth, they're like, "Oh, that's cool." But these girls, they don't want it. If their mouth's open, if their tongue's hanging out, like they don't
Yeah.
want that. And sometimes it's the perfect picture. Everything, the composition, the lighting, everything is perfect except for that face. just
Yeah.
all falls apart. So I'm always, trying to get better and learn and critical of my work, but um, so there's a lot of factors: lighting, composition, like I said earlier, luck. But um, if you find the perfect picture, let me know because I'm looking for it.
For sure. I think all of them are perfect in my opinion, coming from a person that's not a photographer. And that's
Appreciate
funny that
that.
you mentioned that with the women, we want to look pretty all the time, but when you're in game, a lot of the times it's not always going to be the case. You're going to get pictures with your mouth open, or if you're
Yeah,
laying the ball up, you're not always going to have, you know,
yeah.
a straight
And that for me
photo.
too, that was a learning curve for me because um, I get it, but like at the beginning when I first got there, I was like, "Oh, this picture's cool." Like they're like making contact with another player and they have like a natural game face, and learned the hard way. But that was definitely a learning curve for me. And now it's like I can pick out, like, I will never send a picture that I don't think they'll like to our social team just
Yeah.
because I, have learned from them what they like, what they don't like. It's different for each player, but I get it. It's not just women either. Like, if someone put a picture of me on Instagram and I was like, you know what I mean? I saw one
Yeah.
yesterday and it wasn't even a picture of me. I was just in the background, like taking pictures. I was like, oh, I look stupid in this pic. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I gotta fix my posture.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good. You're good. And speaking of women, I want to move on to the Dallas Wings, which is the job that you have now. You're a photographer for the WNBA, woo woo, which I'm a huge fan of. So congratulations on that job. So
Thank you.
I just want to know, how did your job with the Dallas Wings come about? And how did you get that opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. So after I graduated in May of 2022, was looking for roles, wasn't exactly sure what I was interested in. I had like experience being on the media side and then being on like the organization side and then being on the team side. So all of that was definitely looking for something team side. A couple opportunities came up that were, I would say, league side in other organizations, and applied to this job with the Dallas Wings, kind of, um, not really thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this job or whatever. I was applying to lots of jobs and they called me back. Um, I actually was in the shower and I answered it on my watch, and
Oh my goodness.
it was like a number I didn't recognize, and it's Arlington, Texas, and I was just like living in State College. I was just like, what is this?
Mhm.
Like picked up and I was like, hello, and they were like, oh hey, this is so and so with the Dallas Wings, and I was just like, I was
Whoa,
like,
I'm in
can
the
I call you
shower.
back? I was like, can I call you back? I just like got finished working out. Um, Went through the interview process. Was actually in the interview process with two organizations at the time. Something about this role felt like, I would be more than just um, like a gear in the system. Like I would be able to have an impact. And um, 2 years later, I can definitely say that, I feel like I was more than that. I feel like, I've been involved. My voice has been heard, and um, yeah, it's been great. But pretty much like went through the interview process, and I was just like, Texas, like
Mhm.
Dallas, what like I've been here
Yeah.
once. I came here once for the Cotton Bowl when Penn State was playing in it, but then it was just like in my head, Texas is like a fake place. You know what I mean? It's like I never thought about like moving to Texas.
Yeah.
It was always like, oh yeah, like California, Seattle, like
Mhm.
Boston, New York, and then it was like Dallas. And they offered me the job on a Wednesday, and then on that Friday, I got in my car, drove down here, started a week later. I was so
Yeah.
excited just to
And
get
it's
started.
totally different coming from Houston. So I'm about 3 hours out from Dallas. So coming
Oh,
from
right.
Houston to State College, or even coming from State College to Houston, it's a drastic change. So I can only imagine how you felt, like Houston, Dallas, never been, don't know anything about the city, but
Right. That's
huge
like the
change.
inverse. And
Yeah.
especially like the weather. And for me, like how flat it is here, my whole life I grew up in Pennsylvania, which is
Yeah.
like beautiful hills and trees, and it rains
It
there.
rains a
And
lot.
I got here and I was like, my story is like when I left, it was October 10th, maybe in State College. I went, saw a couple people on my way out. I was wearing like my, um, you know how the player, like the athletes have those big parkas, the big.
Yeah.
So I had one of those because I worked for athletics. I was wearing that on my way out because it was snowing. And I got to Dallas and it was 98 degrees when I was
Yeah.
moving in. I was like, it's October. It shouldn't be this
Yeah.
hot. But anyways,
The heat will definitely humble you in Texas.
oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. I don't
Yeah.
know how people. I get why you went to Penn State.
Yeah.
But I bet it was the same for you, right? When you got to Penn State and it was like negative degrees in the winter, were you just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. I definitely had to adjust to the weather, but I'm used to it now.
It's
But
funny.
speaking of Dallas, what do you enjoy most about the city?
It's a good question. I mean, I work a lot, so I don't have
Mhm.
like all that much time to really explore. I wish I had more. But Dallas, as you know, is there's Dallas, there's Arlington, there's Fort Worth. All three are cool cities that I feel like I've through work, especially gotten to kind of immerse myself into. We do a lot of stuff in Fort Worth, in the stockyards, like is very cool. But as far as Dallas, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I love the people here are so great. When I was on my interview, I was like, "Oh, tell me about like Dallas. Tell me about Texas. Like, what's it like?" And the first thing they said is like the Southern hospitality. It's like real, and I was just like, "Oh, that sounds corny or whatever." But like got here and they were right. Like people here are just nicer than they are in the Northeast, like where I'm from. Um, the food is awesome. Um, and just like I was saying about the heat in the summer, it is kind of nice in the winter to have it like 50 degrees and just be able to wear like a hoodie to work and not have to like, you know, have my tears freeze in the corners of my eyes walking to class like I
Yeah.
did in Penn State. But yeah,
Okay. And speaking on connections with players, I want to talk about the connections with you and the Dallas Wings players.
sure.
Have you got to create personal bonds with any of the players? And if so, who?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I would say that my role that I have, I'm on the road with them. I'm in their meetings, I'm at practice. It's pretty intimate. So I would say that I have a personal relationship with, I mean, I'd like to say every player on the team. Some are closer than others. And then obviously former players on other teams. We were on the road in Chicago and Diamond DeShields was there, who's one of my favorites that we worked with last year, and it was great to see her and just seeing people succeed. Not in any way like I help them do that or like a selfish way, but like I just care for them. So to see them succeed is like really special for me. But yeah, I would say I have a personal connection with every player. Some of them, like I said, they were closer than others.
Yeah, that's good. So, which player is the funniest on the team? Whether if they're previous players or players right now. Who would you say
Yeah,
is the
ooh,
funniest or has the best sense of humor?
it's a good question. I would say that some of them are funny in different ways. We have a rookie this year. Her name's Stephanie Soares, and
Okay.
she is really funny. But like, I don't think it's like she's always trying to be funny. Sometimes she just has like funny comments. Um, and then our rookie last year, Maddie Seagrass, has kind of a um, humor that's similar to mine. That's like very dry and sarcastic and um, yeah, very funny. But then obviously, like every player has their funny comments, their funny little things that they do and say. I'm trying to think of former players, but yeah, no, I would say those two are
Okay.
probably the funniest.
And who do you think has the best style on the team?
It's a good one too. Probably going to give you two answers here. One would be based off um, outfits that I would wear. Like based off outfits I would wear, I would say like Lou Lopez, Seneschal,
Okay.
um, Stephanie Soares, like players that just kind of wear like low key. Crystal Dangerfield last year she had great style.
Love her.
Also outfits that I would probably wear. Jalen Brown's one of our rookies. As far as like crazy outfits or like maybe not crazy, but like style outfits, that's not really my scene. But I would say Arike has amazing style, and Diamond DeShields, who I mentioned earlier, was on our team last year. I would say I actually probably put her at number one. Monique Billings, also a good friend of mine, one of my favorites. She had great style. She's playing with Phoenix right now, but
Yeah, she is. I
I'll
love
lock in
her as
Diamond
well.
DeShields as my final answer.
Yes, UCLA alum. I watched her in college. She's a great
Yeah,
player. Great player.
there you go. She's
So,
one of my all-time favorites.
yes, for sure. So, obviously, with you working in the W, with you working in a lot of other professional pro leagues doing photography for them, I'm pretty sure that you've met a lot of athletes or celebrities. So, I want to know, was there ever a certain celebrity or athlete that you met or encountered that you were excited to meet?
Yeah,
Or a bit of
definitely.
starstruck, or like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know about starstruck, but I don't know if starstruck is the right word, but definitely excited. I mean, Mark Cuban came to one of our games.
Oh
He owns the
wow.
Mavericks here in town, so that was pretty cool. Had a nice little conversation because he's from Pittsburgh. My whole family's from Pittsburgh, so I had a nice little conversation with him. Um, he said he could hear the Pennsylvania in my voice, which was like an awesome compliment. That was cool. Trying to think, there's a lot. Buddy Hield was at our game last night. Met him.
Oh,
That was cool. Um, Lil Wayne was in Vegas. Didn't really meet him, but was around him. Oh, in New York, met Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis.
oh
That was
wow.
probably the coolest one actually.
Okay.
I love Lil Wayne and Mark Cuban, but I would say probably Ted Lasso was pretty cool. But working with the players and like being around them and seeing kind of the way that fans interact with them definitely has changed my view of that. It's like um, more humanizes them, I think for sure. So
Yeah.
it is really cool to see, people who I admire their work, like all these great athletes. Dirk Nowitzki was at a game, but definitely like the last 2 years of being around players, such notable players, Gay, Brittany Griner, Brianna Stewart, and it has changed my view of it, and I think I have a better respect for those guys and what they go through.
Yeah. And obviously, with you traveling and you being with the WNBA team, you've been to so many different places. You've had so many different moments throughout your career. So, what has been one of your favorite moments throughout your entire photography career?
Ooh. Oh man, that's loaded. I'll stick with WNBA. I think I would say favorite moments are a lot of just probably small interactions that I have with the people that I work with, whether that's players, staff. Sometimes that's interactions with fans that are there. A lot of it's small personal interactions, I think. But I would say with going back to Monique Billings, she was a free agent at the beginning of this offseason. We signed her as a hardship player, and I knew her before from last year. We played Atlanta 7 times, and they didn't have a photographer that traveled with them. So I did work for her and kind of just kept in contact with her. And when I saw that she was available at the beginning of the season, I was chatting with our assistant GM at a Mavericks game, and I was just like, "We got to get Billings. Like, she's the best. Like, people are gonna love her here. Like, she's good. She's gonna be a good addition to our team." He was like, "Oh, like we don't have the cap space. We would have to have a hardship player." And within the next 2 weeks, two of our players unfortunately got injured, and it's just like I woke up and they were like, "We're signing Billings." So
Oh
when
my
she
goodness.
came in for like she arrived for the game. It was like she showed up and it was a game, and I just saw her at the bottom of like the loading dock where they come in, and it was just like she was like, Sam, and I was like, whoa, and it was just like that was a lovely moment. There was just like a
Yeah.
relationship showing.
Hmm.
Um, Another one this past weekend, like I said, we were in Chicago and seeing Diamond DeShields, who, if you don't know her story, like has had a resilient
Love
story
her
and
story.
is just amazing. And um, they were honoring her with like a bobblehead, and it was like their superhero night, and they were like, "Oh, this is our superhero," um, and that was really cool. I was sitting next to their bench, and like we just kind of locked eyes, and she was like, how are you? Like in the
Yeah.
middle of the game. So just, I would say just little moments like that. I'll never forget stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And I love that because you build bonds with players. Like outside of photography, you build actual connections with these players. So just seeing them, even the ones that have left, reconnecting with them, seeing them, even if it's just, a hi or how are you doing after the game, those are the moments that you cherish. So I love that.
Definitely.
So I want to play a little game with you before we head
Okay.
out of here. So I'm going to show you three pictures that you've captured, and I want you to tell me what were you thinking in that moment? What happened, if you had any personal interactions with the people that you were capturing. So I just want you to let me know what you were thinking and so we can get inside of your head just a little bit. So I'm going to share
Okay.
my screen
Sounds good.
and I'm going to show you three pictures and you let me know. So the first picture is with Kevin Durant and Enrique. How did this picture come about?
So we were in Phoenix, and obviously he's on the Sun, and he was there, and uh, after games, a lot of time if there's a big, notable athlete, after the game, win or loss, I just go right to Enrique because she always is, um, has all these connections. I don't know if,
Mhm,
how well she knows Kevin, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not missing that. It was pretty cool, and I also like had to sprint like across the court to get it.
mhm.
Um, One of our players, Maddie Segrist, like halfway through the game was like, after the game, I need a picture of KD. And I was like, okay. And it was just funny because she took a picture and then afterwards, like the rest. And this was after the game. I had, you know, when someone enters the building, there's like a little bit of like you can hear like people start to, oh, look who's there. Like, and I'm sitting right next to the bench and our players are like, is that KD? Like, um, we do all these things at the beginning of the year and content say, and oh, who's a player you like their game or who's a player that you really look up to. A lot of them say Kevin Durant too. So, um, yeah, after the game, Enrique had a 40-point game in which is nothing like surprising for her, but she had a great game, was hitting everything. She always plays well in Phoenix, went over and after the game, I'm usually like glued to Enrique right by her side because she always goes up and talks to whoever's there. And
Mhm.
this was a good moment for us on Instagram too. We were able to they put like some caption that was like, "Where else would you rather be than a Phoenix Mercury game on a Saturday night?"
Mhm.
And we, with a picture of him with their players, and we took this and another picture with a couple of our other players and posted it and captioned it. Where would you rather be than a Dallas Wings win on a Saturday night? And they got really mad. So that was good. But anyways, that's kind of a side story. But yeah, this was cool. Didn't really interact with him very much. Said what's up.
Yeah.
Um, didn't really want to. But he actually about KD. Um, he's a photographer too. So he was kind of. I could tell that he was kind of like looking over at the like media row, looking at people's cameras and stuff. He seems more interested in than or aware at least than most people are.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a cool picture.
That's cool. That's cool. And
He's
not too
really
many
he's
people
really
get
tall.
to, yeah, not too many people get to meet KD. So I know that was a very cool moment.
Yeah, it was
Great
sweet.
moment. So the next picture I have for you is Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, that looks like the All-Star game.
This is the draft.
The draft. Okay, the draft.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have um kind of, I wouldn't say it's a rule, but we're not really supposed to post players on the other team on other teams like um it's not a big deal if we take them or whatever. But so at the draft, I was taking pictures of the carpet before the game and, went up and edited them and posted them before they got drafted so that it wasn't a big deal. I was like, I got to get this stuff out. Um, this was pretty cool. Not much interaction with her or any really of the players other than JC, who we took that night. Um, but yeah, definitely cool. I kind of felt bad for her a little bit. She had so many people asking her questions, but obviously seemed like a good night for her. And the Prada glasses are awesome.
They are, they are. And especially on draft night. It was a big night for her and Angel Reese, all of the rookies coming in that year. So you could expect
Yeah.
it was an overwhelming day for her, but great
I
picture.
think my I think my favorite shot of that night actually was of Nika Mule. She had a grill on, and
Okay.
she like was smiling and caught the grill right at the
Mhm.
right point. It was focused, and that was one of those kind of accidental pictures that was really cool. But yeah, it was cool to see the growth from last year too of the WNBA draft. Outside of obviously this picture, that was a special night. I think seeing the growth from my draft experience the year before to the second year, and just how much buzz around it and fans and people, and
Yeah,
it was really special.
it was. And my last picture for you is Doja Cat.
So this picture is from college. When I was working with Penn State Student Programming Association. Um, this picture, I think, was probably re-edited after I learned how to like edit a picture, but I was shooting video for them that night. And I was just like, I feel like I have to get a picture. And this was kind of before Doja Cat blew up. So it was cool. Don't have a lot of experience shooting concerts, but would love. I always see pictures like this too. It's funny, and I would love to go back and retake that and re-edit it, have it as a raw, and like
Yeah.
be able to manipulate the picture more, like colors and stuff. But it's just funny. I'll see pictures from when I was in college and videos that I edited, and I'm just like, ah. But definitely cool. It was cool. Like she blew up after that, and I was just like, oh, I didn't really know her all too well. I mean, I knew a couple of her songs at this point, but um, when she really started to blow up, I was just like, I think I have pictures of her somewhere in my on one of my hard drives. But yeah, definitely cool.
Yes,
She was
love
fun.
the girl. She's a great artist. Great artist. Well, yes, that is all I have for you today. It was great speaking with you. I'm so excited that you were able to stop by and just share your story, share your experiences, and just coming here on the Winning Strategy podcast. So, if you want to tell all the people that are watching where they can follow you, if you have your socials, if you have any shout outs, you can do that.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you having me on. It's been fun chatting with you. I don't do stuff like this very much. I'm more of a behind the camera person, but yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at Samuel Brungo Photography if they want to see my um all along with my work, and any shout outs. Not really. Keep watching the WNBA. Um make sure you guys keep growing the sport and supporting all of these people. Um, you know, do some research, see some of the hoopers that are have been playing in the league for years and are still playing at a high level, and yeah, just keep watching women's sports and keep being nice to one another. But
Yes,
appreciate you having me on, and we are.
yes, we are Penn State. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, but I love that you shouted out the W. It is expanding. More people are, becoming aware of it. And I love that. I love that for women's sports. It's about time that they're getting the respect that they deserve. And you're a part of something that's bigger than you. So I really appreciate you. And thank you again. Thanks everyone for tuning into another episode of Winning Strategy. Make sure you follow Are They Hooping on all of their social platforms on Instagram at ARETHEYHOOPING or ATEHB app, and on TikTok at Are They Hooping. So thank you again, Samuel. Everyone follow him. He has great work. He's a great photographer, and I wish you so much more success in the future.
Appreciate that.